There is Angel Sanchez, who was a felon who was convicted of a felony offense in the state of Florida and served his time while in the state of Florida. In prison, he started going to the law library and began to study law. He got his bachelor's and then got his law degree. And he's passed the bar. Angel Sanchez, a former felon, convicted in the state of Florida. Now, the reason why this story is dear to my heart and why I won't go on to promote it, obviously, I was convicted of a felony in the state of Florida as well. I don't know if I did the felony, but I was convicted, and I'm not going to complain about that. But I was convicted of a felony in the state of Florida. I served time in the Florida state prison system as well. And to see someone, and there are two men, I think the other one is a fellow by the name of Desmond. I'll have to get you a better report on that. I didn't do my research accurately, and I apologize to you for that. But I do have the Angel Sanchez event, but he's finished law school, and he's involved in the felons being able to vote. And this is dear to me, obviously, and I want to say that when you're convicted of a felony, the judge sentenced you to whatever time. Once you serve that time, you've effectively paid your debt. You should be. The fact that you are denied the right to vote, I mean, does the sentence also include your denial of the right to vote? I think that's so unfair. It's unconstitutional in many ways. I mean, if you serve your time, you paid your debt, then you should be able to vote. But in many states, they will not let you vote. Most states, if you're a felon, an ex-con, they will not let you vote. And that is so absolutely unfair. And there are over 1 million felons in the state of Florida right now that can't vote. And if they all could vote, they'd vote for Biden and Camelback ain't Black Harris, which would automatically give the state to Biden. Some of them have been able to pay off they had the former felon, not this Angel Sanchez, but someone else who led the Florida state legislature to allow felons to vote, said, well, they sort of put a poll tax on them. If they pay their court fees, then they can vote. And Bloomberg was willing to pay their court fees. I'm not sure where that's at. But Mr. Engineer, roll clip number, I'm not sure what clip this is. On the former felon law school graduate, Angel Sanchez. Do we have that? Yeah, roll that.
Governor Ron DeSantis wants state election officials to take former felons who registered to vote but still owe fines and court fees off the rolls. NBC's Allison Barber is in Miami as part of our County to County series, and she talked with an ex-felon who is fighting for the rights of people like him. What'd you find, Allison?
Hey, Craig. Yeah, Angel Sanchez actually helped draft some of the legal briefs challenging the state's latest guidance as it relates to former felons on the voting rolls who still have outstanding fines. Angel graduated law school, but he is not able to sit for the bar yet because he is still waiting for a hearing to try and get his civil rights restored. And until recently, he couldn't vote either.
I still remember my first gun trading a Super Nintendo and a little bit of cash money that I had for a gun.
Angel Sanchez grew up in some of Miami's poorest neighborhoods. His mom suffered from a drug addiction. His dad raised him as a single parent.
I was first placed in handcuffs when I was like 9 years old. But by the time I was a teenager, I found myself more influenced by my neighborhood and my friends and my peers and what they liked.
By 17, Angel Sanchez was a gang member in and out of jail and finally sent to prison for attempted murder.
I was on my way to prison with a 30-year sentence and a 9th grade education.
But Angel's story didn't end in prison. Far from it. That's where he began to turn the page, when he walked into the prison law library.
I said to myself, if I ever got a chance to get out, I'm going to go to law school. So let's figure out how that works.
12 years later, Angel left prison with a reduced sentence. While living in a homeless shelter, he started and finished college. In between classes, he worked to pay restitution and his court fees. This spring, he earned his law degree from the University of Miami, graduating in the top 10% of his class. Now, another dream on the horizon, voting in his first presidential election. In 2018, Florida voters passed an amendment to the state's constitution designed to restore voting rights to most felons. Today, Angel works with the group that led that effort.
I agree actions have consequences, but in a democracy, the consequences should never be tampering with someone's right to vote.
What's up, baby?
He's part of the legal team now fighting the state's ongoing efforts to restrict what's known as Amendment 4.
We oftentimes think justice is a synonym for punishment, and it ends there. But if justice is anything, it's proportional punishment with the opportunity to restore and redeem those we punish.
Angel Sanchez is a former felon, a law school graduate, a role model to his niece and nephews, and in just a few days, a first-time presidential voter.
Only a fraction of Florida's former felons will be able to vote this election cycle, even though they've served all of their time. That is because of the controversial law Governor Ron DeSantis signed this summer, saying that they have to pay all of their outstanding court fees, fines, and restitution before being eligible to vote. According to a brand new report from the Sentencing Project, at least or about 900,000 former felons will not be able to vote this cycle solely because of outstanding fines and fees, and at least a third of those 900,000 are Black or Hispanic.
I want to correct myself there. I made a mistake. I said that he had passed the bar. Obviously, he has not passed the bar, and I'm not sure whether or not his felony conviction is one of the things that's holding up his opportunity to sit for the bar exam. But that having been said, obviously he gave a full representation of himself. Obviously very reformed and have graduated law school is no small thing for that to have happened. And then secondly, Desmond Meade is I think the main person behind former felons being allowed to vote in the state of Florida, and I wasn't sure. I had not read all the notes, but let me just read something about Desmond Meade, who I think has done a tremendous turnaround and has made a tremendous name for himself as an inmate in the Florida state prison system, but has gone on since release to do some extraordinary things, which means, obviously, that, and of course, you know, my affinity towards such as being an inmate of Florida prison myself. I'm going to call him and see if I can get him on the Manning Report. I'd love to interview both of these brothers since we do have the Florida State Prison as in common. But let me read. Desmond Meade is formerly a homeless returning citizen who overcame many obstacles, like spending 3 years in prison after a drug charge conviction. He eventually became the president of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition and chair of the Floridians for a Fair Democracy, and a graduate of Florida International University College of Law. As president and executive director of the Florida Restoration Corporation, which is recognized for its works on voting and criminal justice reform issues, Desmond has led the FRRC to a historic victory in 2018 with the successful passage of Amendment 4, a grassroots citizens initiative which restores voting rights to over 1.4 million Floridians with past felony convictions. Amendment 4 represented the single largest expansion of voting rights in the United States in half a century and brought an end to 150 years of Jim Crow era law in Florida. And Desmond has been recognized by Time magazine as one of 100 most influential people in the world of 2019. Desmond presently leads efforts to empower and critically re-engage local communities across the state and reshape local and state and national criminal justice policies. His works has resulted in being named Florida and Central Florida Floridian of the Year. So I think that's a great accomplishment of someone who's gone through the prison system and has turned their life around and is now leading such. And he's been on a lot of television programs. He's been, of course, Time magazine has recognized him as one of the most influential men of the year 2019. And he continues to work to turn around. And he was able to put on the state legislature Amendment 4, where the legislative states did vote that ex-felons, and 1.4 million of them in Florida, could vote. However, the DeSantos, who is a worshiper of Trump, then got his cronies to intercede that process by amending Amendment 4, saying You can't vote if you owe court costs. If you have any outstanding debts or fines that are monetary, you are not going to be allowed to vote. So in steps Mike Bloomberg with $100 million to say, well, we'll pay everybody's fine. We'll pay everybody's court costs. DeSantis, governor of Florida, gets his legislative boards to go back to court again and charge Bloomberg with buying the vote. The charge Bloomberg with paying people to vote for a particular candidate. And so the matter, I think, still remains in court. But nonetheless, I think it's a great effort by two fellow convicts, or felons from the Florida state prison system, and we want to wish those brothers well. I think probably both of them would have a liberal point of view, but having said that, their accomplishment speaks for themselves. This is a bit of a news blog we do, looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting, rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you with news and information.